I'm going to share my. Thank you, whoever pressed record. I love it. Welcome, everyone, to our first Pathways panel session. It's being run by Division B Bonza team, and this is your Division B Bonza team. We've got Tam Lee in Division Area Director B1, B2 Area Director Pooja, Daniel Ratchlin, Area Director B3. He is one of our panelists tonight. So yay, great job for stepping up. And Padma as Area Director B4, Suresh, Area Director B5, and Gopal as Area Director B6. I am going to let you know of our agenda tonight, and then I'm going to welcome all our other dignitaries. Our agenda tonight, as you can see, 6:45 to about 7, we're going to do renaming ourselves and a warm-up game. Promise you it's not going to be too taxing. And then 7 o'clock, we'll get started with our panel discussions and questions. About 7:40, we'll open up and have more questions and answers. But throughout the whole session, can you please, if you've got questions, send them through to me and I will grab them and plonk them into a document and begin asking those questions as the time seems fit. And then we should be finished by about 8 o'clock. So not too heavy lifting today, but it should be fun. That's what the plan is. We wanted to remind you that clubs can earn district credit for adding new members August 1st to September 30th. If you have 5 club members to complete a level, and you'll know what a level is by the end of this session, then you can get $20 district credits or a water bottle per member. So your choice. And then Stellar September, renew 75% of that base membership by September 15th to receive those district credits, $75 district credits, or 100% for $100. And then jumping into have all those club officers trained by August 31st, which is literally 2 days down, 2.5 days, and get $50 credit. And Fall Fusion is coming up, in case you didn't know, October 29th. Right, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to welcome the dignitaries to our session. First of all, well, I'll start with Abhijit, who's our Program Quality Director. He's also our panelist, one of our panelists. Welcome. And Ken Brayley is also a panelist. Have you been an area director as well, Ken?
I have not.
Oh, that's one of your next tasks. I like it. And then Daniel Ratchlin is also, as I just told you, he was an area director this year. We have area director A4, Solazar, in the room. He is also the club coach.
I'm sorry, I'm A2. I made a mistake.
Oh, you're A2. Okay, good. All right. And we have Helen Josephine, who's A4. So you two got yourselves all confused. No wonder I was confused. And we have Pamela, who's also an area director, A3. Oh, lots of A's. This is awesome, guys. Lovely to have you on board. We have Henry Miller, who is a past, hang on. Yeah, past. Look, you can see him, past district director. Great to have you in the room, Henry. And I think that's it at the moment. Okay. Past district governor. Thank you, Abhijit. All right. Now I'd like us to get started on our warm-up game. Now this one is called Fortunately and Unfortunately. Has anyone played this one before? Nope. Okay. Fortunately is going to be your first word in the first sentence. And I'm going to get 5 people. I'm going to jot them into the chat box. So what we have is the first person will say the first line, which is fortunately, and then make up a sentence. And we're going to come up with a story by the end of this, okay? And the second person will say unfortunately at the beginning of their sentence and then say their sentence. And then we revert back to number one. So you'll say fortunately and then your sentence. Does everyone get it? Yep. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to add to that. So there's more to come. I promise me you'll laugh at the end of this, hopefully. All right. So I'm going to, Pamela, you're going to start for us. Oh, no, maybe not. Okay. All right. I will.
Fortunately, I am going to start first. Okay.
See, look, she's already started. I love it. I love it. Okay. Pamela.
I'm supposed to look in the chat words.
Yeah, so all I'm doing is dropping in 5 names for this time, and then we'll go from there. All right. So Pamela's already said her sentence, fortunately. Shalini, you're next.
Fortunately,
No, you're unfortunately.
oh, unfortunately, I was 3 minutes late joining today.
Fortunately, in Toastmasters, it doesn't matter if you're 3 minutes late.
You're on mute, Daniel.
Keep forgetting. Unfortunately, this meeting appeared to be canceled in my mailbox this morning.
Fortunately, Kate did send out an email immediately saying, no, the event is not canceled. It's still on.
I love it. Now we're going to add the next. So these guys are going to do the same thing. Okay, now everyone else is going to say, do run, 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 do run, run. Does everyone know that song? Yes? Okay. So in between each of their sentences, we're going to say, as everyone says, do run, 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 do run, run. Okay, so let's start. Pamela, you're fortunately. Make up a different sentence around pathways. There we go. You're on mute.
Fortunately, Pathways has given me a way to repeat myself many times in new ways and be very innovative.
Do run, 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 run,
do
run.
I love it. Okay, Shalini.
Okay. Unfortunately, last time when I did my speech, because I'm new to Toastmasters, I did not understand the pathways, how to pick that. That's why I'm here today.
Do
Do
run,
Run.
Okay.
Fortunately, every club has a vice president of education who is supposed to be the guru in the club of pathways and can tell you what you need to know.
Do run,
Run.
Unfortunately, many of those VP of education don't know enough about pathways until now.
Do
Run.
Fortunately, I'm going to connect with all those VPs to make sure if they have any questions regarding pathways, and if they have, we will help them answer them.
Run.
Awesome. Woo! I love it. Okay. Should we do one more? And I'm going to change the 5 people and you have to do it around parachutes.
Parachutes?
So, okay, I'm going to add, all right. Henry, you're first. Oh, actually, yes, Henry, you're first. Nikki, can you do it? Or are you driving?
No, I can. Yeah.
Okay. Jim and Helen. And Olga. All right, it starts from Henry.
Parachutes.
No, fortunately.
Oh, fortunately, my parachute opened just in time.
Do run, run, run. Do run,
Run.
We need a choir refresher.
We need
Nikki?
a baton.
I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. Nikki, my friend, you're unfortunately.
Unfortunately, as I cascaded out of the sky, flying down like a bird, my parachute did not open.
Do
run,
run.
Do
Run,
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 run.
run.
Jim.
Fortunately, I just discovered that the member I helped select her pathways last week is still not registered with pathways.
Oh,
Do
do
run,
run, run,
run,
run,
run.
run.
Do
Do
run,
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 run.
Run.
Helen.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid of heights, so the parachute didn't help me.
Do run, run.
Run, run,
Do run,
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 run.
run.
And ending it on Olga. You're on mute.
Fortunately, I like parachutes.
Do
Do
run,
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 do run,
run.
Awesome. Well done, everyone. That was really fun. I hope you had some laughs and I hope you got a little bit out of that. It's a teaser. So what we're going to do now is we are going to dive into some questions that we've seen a lot of around and ask our panelists to answer them. And as I mentioned, if you have any additional questions, please drop them into the chat box and we can talk about them together. I'll ask them subsequently. So before I get started though, I wanted to introduce our three wonderful panelists and give a little bit of background information that they've told me or I've gathered from discussions with them. Now, Ken Brayley, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. His pathway designations are PM5, DL5, EH4. Now, by the end of this session, you'll know exactly what that means. He's completed presentation mastery, dynamic leadership pathways, and almost finished with engaging humour pathways. So I told you. Abhijit Joshi. Abhijit is our current program quality director and holds a pathways DTM already. He's recently told me that he's done well over 200 plus speeches in 3 years, guys. Is that amazing or is that amazing? And what I want to know is, what is your next pathway, Abhijit? And finally, we get to Daniel Ratchlin, and Daniel is the current AD B3 and involved with multiple clubs within the Division B area. So it's really great to have all three of you here today, and I really appreciate your time, as do, I'm sure, everyone in this room. My first question goes to Abhijit and Ken, so I'll ask Abhijit first. Generally, can you step us through using pathways?
When I started with my journey back in 2019, my mentor at that time gave me a PDF catalog. It was a PDF catalog of pathways. I'll put the link in the chat. And when I got that link, it gave me an overview of all the 11 pathways. And what I did was I started out with team collaboration as my first pathway. And then when I clicked team collaboration, it gave me a page which had listed all my projects for level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. I took a printout of it and put it on my desk. And I used to just look at it and see, oh, what projects do I want to do in level 4, level 5, level 3? It really helped me understand how Pathways is structured and plan my projects well ahead of time. Even I gave my moderator panel discussion way before I completed my level 2. So it really gave me a good understanding, and also it made it easy for me to access Pathways.
Awesome. Thank you, Abhijit. Ken, do you have anything to add in regards to this question?
Just that a lot of people back, at least when Pathways began, felt that Pathways was just too complicated and too hard to use. And I think if you understand the basic structure of it, that there are 11 paths, pick a path. Within each path, there are 5 levels. Within each level, there are typically 3, maybe 4 projects. And if you understand the basic structure and understand the basics of opening up a project, we're going to get to that, opening up a project and working through it and then completing it, it's very straightforward. There's a lot of things that people feel like they can get lost in, but if you just keep in mind the basic structure of it, it's hard to get lost, and it works very easily.
And did you want to share your screen and do a brief run over of that, or do you want to do that later?
I guess I'll do it later because I don't have a screen ready to do that with.
I can show it if you want.
Okay, yeah, if
Give
you
me
want to do
1
that,
second.
that would be helpful.
Yes, let me open it. So what I was saying is, so I just put this link in the chat. Okay, this is very easy to navigate. It gives me an understanding what the pathways are all about. It's loading. So it gives me an understanding, okay, there are 11 pathways. And the first pathway I started out was with team collaboration. If you click team collaboration there, it will open up a page. And then, so this page, so I printed this page out and put it on my desk. It gave me an understanding what level 1 includes and what are the different projects in level 2. And if I want to see an overview, I just click here, understanding your leadership style. It tells me that, oh, I need to take a quiz in the pathways. So what I used to do is I used to get an overview and then go to the Toastmasters website, go through their quiz. They have a quiz for modules for like 25 to 30 minutes. And after I went through that module, it gave me a complete idea about how to structure that speech. So this document was very easy for me to access it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I put it in the chat. Back to you, Kate.
Thank you, Abhijit. I like how this document at least gives you an understanding of what your electives will be for level 4 and level 5 and level 3. So that might help us all to choose what our next pathway might be. Yep, awesome. Thank you. All right, this next question is to Daniel. Do you have a clear written process and steps for picking a speech all the way to getting credit for it on Pathways? I know how to do it, but I have to relearn each time. Is there some way I can easily remember the process?
Well, that's actually a few questions, but
I know.
I'll start with the one, is there something written out? The answer is, of course, yes. And it really depends on what your style is, because both Abhijit and Ken have already referred to some materials that have been very helpful to them. And there's more materials. I know Ken has produced more materials. It all depends on where you're coming from and what your philosophy is for this. Mine, for a long time, really ever since Pathways began, has been one thing. We're all familiar with buying electronic gadgets. And it used to be you'd open up the box and you get this pretty big user's manual. It was very thick. And then they started providing quick start guides, and that was a godsend. And if you happened upon a product that had a Quick Start Guide, you felt fortunate. Now Quick Start Guides are everywhere. And my belief about imparting knowledge of pathways for many of us is that a Quick Start Guide style can be very effective, at least for many folks. Don't overwhelm them necessarily with all the details and things like that. Just walk them through the very, very simple steps. And as Ken said, the structure, which I think is a great addition to the whole concept. He emphasizes knowing the structure, and that's really a key addition that I would probably put in the next round of this little thing. But I do think it's really important that people be convinced that this is not difficult, and that all the evidence for firing up the engines during that firing up phase leads to the conclusion that this is a fairly simple kind of process. And so I think that's what needs to be emphasized.
Does anyone else want to add to that?
One thing I learned is planning your projects early on, especially sometimes, for example, when I was doing team collaboration or motivational strategies, and there was this project, understanding your emotional intelligence. And that project was a little bit different. I had to write a journal, understand my emotions, and then write a speech about it. But since I knew that project is coming, and I was writing down my journal and planning, okay, what should I use? And suddenly I had an incident with my brother, and that I turned into a speech. So plan your projects early on and see, because in life, every day is a story, and you can use that towards your speech. So write a journal. Once you know what projects are, you will come to know what stories you can use for that particular project.
Awesome. Yeah, go for it, Ken.
And one of the things that is now true in Pathways that was not true at the very beginning is you can do any project in any level in any time. So even if you're working on level 1, but you happen to see that there's an elective on level 3 that interests you, you can go ahead and do that. You can't get credit for level 3 completion until you've completed levels 1 and 2, but you can do any project at any time.
Good thought thinking, everyone. Can I have a show of hands before we go any further? Out of the folks who are in this little session, does everyone know how to get into their pathways and go to base camp and choose a pathway? Yes?
Not very well.
Okay, who was that? Sorry.
This is Jennifer Deal.
Okay, cool. So maybe, Abhijit, can you share your screen yep.
And your voice.
You're on mute.
It looks like Ken is ready.
Oh, Ken can do it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, if you can let me share
Sure.
screen.
Let me do that. Let me give you share screen access.
I thought I did that, but okay.
I'm a first-time BPE also.
Awesome. Okay, so this is good.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So when you sign into Toastmasters, originally signed into the Toastmasters website and come to Pathways, click on Pathways and choose Go to Basecamp, which is what takes you into the Pathways program. And then you get this. If you haven't picked a path yet, the one on the left, choose your path, is the one that you want to follow. Select the button and it will take you through a process to pick a path. But if you've picked a path, then you pick Go to Basecamp, which takes you into your pathways. And there's a lot of stuff on here, but the only ones you really need to be interested in are the education transcript, which is what path you're working on, path or paths, and speech evaluations if you need to get an evaluation form for a speech that you are doing an evaluation for somebody else and they haven't sent you the evaluation form. So once you click on the path learning and transcript, then you get to see your projects or your paths that you're working on. And Open Curriculum opens the structure of your particular path, and you can see levels. Click on any level, and within any level you can click on any project to see what's there.
Ken, would you like to click on one of the projects and we could just jump through briefly? Because I mean, we've talked about it and we've seen it in that document that Abhijit showed, but it'd be good to see what it looks like in Pathways as well for those newcomers.
So typically when you start out a new project, it will give you a screen that shows just how to navigate through a project. And there's forward arrows and backward arrows to go page by page, and click on any one. And every project has an introduction. Just tells you a little bit of information, beginning, culmination, how to navigate through the project, a checklist of things you're going to work on in the project. And then there's always an assess your skills before. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions that will ask you. This is for the icebreaker. These are all a little bit different. I'm confident and calm when speaking in front of groups. Grade yourself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To me, 3 is a good score. 3 is like I'm competent at this. 4 is I'm better than competent. And 5 means I walk on water. There's nothing anyone can teach me. So rate yourself as to how well you feel you are. This is your rating of yourself. You're going to rate yourself before and rate yourself again at the end. And just to see if you've made progress, but it's up to you. So once you've answered those questions, list what the competencies are, things you will learn as a result of being in this project. And then some of them have a little video. This one does, so I'm not going to go into the little video. They talk worksheets, but down at the bottom, this is an important thing at the bottom. There's like a table of contents menu, and you can go to any section in here you want. So one of the things I do when I first come into a project is I come down to your evaluation, which is the next to the last one, because you can click on here to get the evaluation resource. This is the form that you're going to be used to evaluate on. One's called Print My Project, which allows you to get a PDF of everything that's in this set of screens for the project. And the first thing I do when I come to any new project is print the whole thing so that I can look at it without being online. And then you can come back and go back to skills, competencies, you and your goals, prepare. Anyway, there's just a bunch of steps that you go through to prepare. I'm not going to go through all this, but it talks about how to prepare your project, what to do, complete the assignment, get an evaluation. Then the last part says assess your skills after, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and give those same things that you did at the beginning. But the difference here you have to do a complete your skills after, and the last one will show a button that says, I can't show it here because I've already completed it, a button that says submit. And when you submit, that's when Pathways knows you've completed the project. So even if you've done all the outline, got the evaluation, given the speech, gone home and fixed yourself something nice to drink, if you haven't come in here and mark this submit with the assess your skills after, Pathways doesn't know you've done it. So this is an important step.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, we'll move on to our next question. How do we use Pathways to help grow our members and guests in each meeting? And this is to Abhijit and I suppose to all of us, to all panelists.
One thing I enjoyed about Pathways is the level 4 and the level 5 projects. Because in these projects, you can have lots of audience interaction, especially the question and answer session. Like one day I gave a speech about my leadership journey. And after that, the audience had time to ask me questions. In this case, what happens is you are able to get the audience involved. And that creates a nice, it creates more enjoyable experience. Another thing, what happened was, During one of the open house, we had an panel discussion about impact of Toastmasters, and we had plenty of new members. And because of that, they understood what Toastmasters can give you. Kate?
Awesome. And do you do that impact of pathways regularly?
Yes, especially for the open house. Suppose if a club is having an open house, I would encourage them sometimes just have an impact of Toastmasters, like have 3 panelists from your club who have been a Toastmaster for 1 to 3 years and just talk about their experience being a Toastmaster.
Awesome.
So because of that, all the new members get a chance to learn what has happened to them, how they've progressed in their personal life as well as in their professional life.
I like it.
We did this open house for eBay on October 28, 2020. We had over 45 guests. And after the meeting was over, after 15 minutes, we still have 25 people still there. And we were able to convert 10 more people from that. We added 10 people from that club, from that open house.
So we just had a similar open house, again, at eBay, and we had Rita, and I apologize, I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but they were wonderful speakers. It was great to have experience guests there. So I second that because we had a great turnout and we have more members.
Awesome. So this is showing me that, you know, we really need to have that impact discussion or panel whenever you have, well, not every open house, but maybe once every 3 months or so to open it up. Yep, awesome. I love it. Does any other panelists have any other suggestions that they'd like to add? Nope. Okay, we'll move on. What methods can the club regularly use as a consistent process to integrate new members into the Pathways learning experience? And this is for Ken.
We're using a tool right now, which makes it really terrific to teach people pathways. It's called Zoom. Before we had the pandemic and everybody had to meet in person, when you wanted to teach somebody pathways, you had to meet with them, pull out your laptop and sit in front of the laptop together. But here it's so easy to get onto a pathway session one-on-one with a new member. And I've done 3 of these in the last week with a new member and just go through some basics of pathways. I want to show you a screen. This is a page I created, and I put the link in the chat, which I give to all new members. And it shows some videos, which for the first couple of videos, first 2 or 3 are cover a lot of the basics of how to first sign on and then work through Basecamp and work through a project, kind of what we just did. There's District 101 page on pathways, and I will put up on the link that Abhijit just gave out. I'll add that to this page. I didn't know about that. This is another thing here you could look up if you want, which shows for any given project what paths it's on, so that you can decide. See, for example, when you get to level 5, there are some leadership projects that require you to be in a leadership of an organization for at least 6 months. So you have to plan in advance if you're going to work on that path, that at some point you're going to be in a leadership position of an organization for 6 months. So this will let you know which paths a particular project fits in. How to print the project, we just talked about that. How to find tutorials and resources. How to do evaluations. How to complete a project, these are separate pages. How to complete a level when you've completed all the projects in a level. These are just tips, and it's a good resource to use to give to new members, as well as walking them through the first thing. So I would encourage everybody, if you're a VPE, go through all this stuff yourself, see what's there, and then you'll be able to use it as a resource, just as with Abhijit's sheet, the kind of thing that would be helpful. But working through with one-on-one with people really helps a lot.
And if I'm correct, you made this blog as part of one of the requirements for Toastmasters?
No.
No, you
I was just teaching enough people how to do it. I figured I should just set it up and let people have a resource.
That was very nice of you. Awesome. Okay, let's move on. All right, this is an interesting one.
Can
Look,
I,
oh,
can I
yeah,
add one thing?
yeah, please.
Yeah, I think the proper person to drive that activity of a person learning pathways through another individual should be the VP education, obviously. And probably very quickly that VP education, if he hasn't figured it out already, he or she would want to assign a mentor to do that job.
Absolutely. We're all nodding our heads going, yes, definitely. Can you tell me what's the easiest way to assign a mentor that you do in your club?
When I was VP education, because I have this instinct for being a matchmaker, I just took it on myself because I knew how to balance the personalities. Otherwise, you can, of course, ask people who they might want as a mentor, and you could certainly circulate forms which on the one hand list the people who need mentors, although you should know that, but also the people that want to be mentors. Find out who the people are that want to be mentors, and then use those lists to match people up accordingly.
Okay, well, we're going to call you Daniel the matchmaker from now on. I love it.
And
That's
other
what,
things.
that's what DTM stands for.
Oh, is it?
That's
Awesome. Okay. All right, next question. Look, I undertook the past paper version of Pathways, the old system, pre-Pathways. Why would I waste my time using Pathways system now? And isn't the new Pathways only a repeat of the old system? Let's start with Ken on this answer.
Where do we begin? It's not exactly a repeat. Some of the things are repeats. If you have a lesson on vocal variety, there was an old lesson on vocal variety. But you're assuming in the way that question is phrased that it's a waste of time to spend any more time learning about vocal variety. So if you know everything there is to know about vocal variety, you never need to do a lesson about it again. But just as with every path, you get to do another icebreaker, you have changed since your last icebreaker, and things in your life have changed. And we continue to learn in Toastmasters. We don't give up and say, I've learned it, I never have to learn anything more. So Pathways is the game now, and that's why I encourage people to play.
I'll continue what Ken said. Pathways is Toastmasters. If you are in Toastmasters, you're doing Pathways. If you don't want to do Pathways, then Toastmasters is not the right program for you. Back to you, Kate.
Thank you, Abhijit. But I wanted to add to that and maybe Daniel, do you want to expand on that any further?
what Abhijit said.
Yep, what Ken and Abhijit said.
Oh, well, yeah, I think it's interesting to probe to the degree it's possible what the rationale for introducing Pathways was. And from my understanding, based on a very short video at the website, there was concern that people weren't completing the old program. There was concern that it was perhaps not terribly relevant, and perhaps be more relevant to younger people emerging into their careers and things like that. And of course, the electronic age was upon us because the old program was all strictly workbooks, manuals, physical. And when I think about these things, I think people who've been around much longer than I could probably weigh in on all this, but I do recall that a lot of people would park themselves on the first part of the old program, which was the famous CC manual, Competent Communicator, and would repeat it. And it was great for the clubs because they could get some credits and things like that. But understandably, people would, by repeating, would not be progressing. And so you can see that a major theme in Pathways is you don't repeat stuff, you keep going. And that's, I think, quite a favorable thing for the individual. So there's other comparisons like this, and actually I think it's really interesting to look into this, but basically the old program supported the clubs a little bit more in terms of tying together certain activities with the club. For example, club roles were promoted. Now you don't really see much of that except the evaluator. As a consequence, I feel that we as Toastmasters need to compensate a little bit and work to bring Toastmasters themes and club themes, club related things into our speeches and encourage that with others.
Very well said. Thank you, Daniel. And it was good to have that background perspective as well. I appreciate it. All right, let's move on. Question number 6. I undertook my Speechcraft speeches and I'm wondering if I can use these towards my pathway levels. Can I easily transfer this information into pathways or is it complicated? Help! This is an Abhijit question.
From my understanding, and Solazar, you can back me up, I think we can take credits of first 3 projects from your Speechcraft going into level 1. Is that correct, Solazar?
Actually, it's more than that.
Yes.
I'll take a moment to pull that up and show it.
Sure.
But the important thing is the Speechcrafters, the people in the Speechcraft can transition into pathways, but the VPE has to put them in. In other words, it's not an automatic thing. It's a manual thing.
Back to you, Kate.
I thought he was going to share something.
I am. I'll find it and let you know once I have it. So I wasn't prepared for that.
You're okay. Okay, I'll come back to you, Solazar. I love it. We've added another panelist. All right, question number 7. How do we keep pathways fun and folks engaged? Daniel.
Well, beyond the program itself and its wonderful attributes, I think a lot of it is to, first we start off with eliminate any of the pain that might be associated with it. So we've been talking about this, how to get people engaged with it and understand it and really get going with it. So that's rule number 1, obviously, is to get everybody up and going with it and make sure they're comfortable with it. I would encourage everybody to not just learn it once, but go offline and come back while it's still fresh and just practice through the motions so that it really gets drilled into your head. All those, and I won't say all those, it's those basic steps basically to get to your project within your level, within your pathway. The things that Ken was mentioning. There are some decent tools out there. One of them, of course, is bookmarks in your web browser. But also, I noticed Abhijit has a free Toast Host seminar coming up next week. And free Toast Host is great with respect to its pathways integration. I don't want to steal the show from him, but I think it's important to mention that it does let you go to a drop down and pick what speech you're giving. And then it allows the evaluator to come in and grab the evaluation forms as well as for you, of course. So you don't have to worry about transferring those forms over. It's all taken care of by free Toast Host. So that's a really good thing. I like the idea that Pathways has encouraged me to think of doing speeches that I would have no idea to do myself, especially some of these know your leadership style, know your communication style, these sorts of things. There's just lots of these kinds of ideas that are promoted. And when you've done a lot of speeches, you may feel like you're running out of ideas a little bit, or it's just refreshing to not have to think of every single idea for a speech. And so Pathways has a nice mix. You get to think of your own speeches for many of the projects, but for some of them, it guides you a little bit more. But I will emphasize that even in those, to think about exploring the boundaries, the edges. We're all used to people talking about their leadership style. You can do that. That's great. But you can also think about other things like going to certain people and asking them about their leadership style and asking them maybe, how have you used Toastmasters in your leadership, and start to develop an idea that maybe within your club, there's certain phenomena that are worth expressing to everybody. Maybe somebody's been in the military like Solazar, asking what leadership, how that leadership contrasts with what's promoted in Toastmasters. So there's a lot of interesting ways that you can develop the ideas that are promoted in Pathways. And I encourage everybody to not look at it as limiting, but look at it as very expanding, because that, I think, is the nature of the program. It's trying to promote growth. It's clearly doing that. That's clearly a point of contrast with respect to the old program. Give it a chance.
I can add something to that. In my club, Women Lead Toastmasters, Helen Josephine, she encourages members from the club, like Shanti. She encouraged her to give, to do the level 5 project, moderate a panel discussion. And when one member did it, then another member got inspired to do it. So if the VPA encourages the members to try out these different projects, it really creates that excitement in the club. And that's what I would encourage all the VPs to do. Create that excitement, motivate your members to go that extra mile and try to do those level 4 and level 5 projects. There are very interesting projects like question and answer, managing difficult audience, moderate a panel discussion, or prepare to speak professionally, where you have to give a 22-minute speech.
Can I expand on what Abhijit just said really briefly? Because you've brought it up, Abhijit, a few times about level 4, level 5 projects, and I'm such a believer in this. And you mentioned about looking ahead, and I think Ken mentioned this. These kinds of projects are a great opportunity to take something in your life that you wish to do, but may not quite have the motivation to do it, or maybe the resources. And I encourage everybody, look for that kind of thing that you want to do, match it up with this project, with one of these projects, and you will feel very, very satisfied in the end. Don't wait for it to just come upon you where you don't have much time to think about it, and then you're just picking something that, well, you'll settle for it because it'll get the project done. Use it as an opportunity to really grow your own horizons and get something done, really done, that you wish for.
These are all great suggestions, wonderful suggestions. And I just wanted to encourage, if you are a club officer or a VPE or a mentor, part of what the value you bring is to help people in the club to make these kinds of choices as to what kind of a project to work on. And if somebody's stuck and doesn't know what to do, help them look at the different projects that are available in their path and see, based on their interest, based on something that they want to tackle in their life, you help them find a project.
Oh, I love all these suggestions. They're great. And I really appreciate, diving deeper into questions around every level that we do. We don't have to do the expected detailed information that's written in a level. We can go to those boundaries that Daniel was talking about. Yep. I want to jump to Solazar and ask him to share his screen, please, so he can expand on what he was saying before in regards to question 6 and speechcraft.
Muted, sir.
There we go. And as I was saying, thank you, Kate. I posted this in the chat, and this shows that what you can get depending on what you could accomplish in the speechcraft. So speechcraft is either a 4-week, 6-week, or 8-week program, and that's going to determine the number of assignments they have. So if they give 1 speech, they can get icebreaker credit. If they give 2, they can get researching and presenting plus icebreaker. And as you can see, it goes all the way through. If you give 4 speeches in speechcraft, you get a level 1 completion. And then you start going into other levels of different assignments. So as you can see, you can get up to level 1 completion and introduction to Toastmaster mentoring and 2 level 3 electives. So it depends on how long it is and how much you do. And that's determined by the coordinator as to what they'll cover in that. So hopefully that answers the question, and the handout is in the
Awesome. Thank you, Salazar. And thank you for explaining that. I appreciate that. I will add that to our resources list that we're going to share after this. Is there any other questions that we have from everybody in our session today?
Yes. Can you explain to me where Easy Speak comes into play?
I'll give that a go. Easy Speak is a separate system for tracking who does what in a meeting, for a future schedule, for being able to look up who did what in the past. I'm in one club that uses it and in another club that doesn't use it. It's a whole little world unto itself that lets you see what projects people have done and what projects people have completed. I was able to go back and to look back at somebody's Pathways project progress easily to see which date they had completed different projects on. And it's a way for managing the club. It's a whole separate little world.
So is it
That's already helpful. I'm sorry, Kate, go ahead.
No, you're all right. I was just going to say, is it similar to Excel? Google Excel?
It's way more than Excel. You know, it shows you can make up a schedule of the next N weeks and who's speaking and who's counter and all of the different roles that people are going to play. It can print out an agenda. Some people like to use the agenda that comes from that as the agenda for the meeting. It can then, you can indicate who attended the meeting, who didn't attend the meeting. You can keep track of guests that way if you want. We keep track, we use it in the club that I'm using it in to link to our video of the meeting so that people can go back and look at videos from past meetings. So it's a whole system for tracking and managing the club.
It also integrates with Zoom, so you can click on a link and it opens Zoom up for the meeting too.
I just want to add one thing, is that it's a website. It's a robust, developed website that Toastmasters can get for free. So that's why it's not like Excel, and it's one of several options Toastmasters offers.
Yeah, free Toast Hosts is an alternative that's very popular as well.
So you've got Google Excel, free Toast Host, and Easy Speak, 3 options that you can choose in how you're keeping track of everybody and what you're doing. Which one is the easiest one to get? You like this question? Yeah, which one's the easiest one to bring the, the speeches that everybody's done into Pathways and show it easily?
It's the one you know. It's the one you know.
Yeah, I'm going to say something. I'm not really one of your panel guys, but I'm going to open my mouth. And really, it's what you want to do. With Easy Speak, you're really tracking the educational accomplishments of all your members, every meeting assignment, everything else. Free Toast Host, what you're doing is you're producing products and you can produce agendas for your meetings, but it's not going to do that tracking for you. So it kind of depends what's your objective. And that's the key. If you want to use it as a tool for managing your educational program, or as Ken said, all meeting assignments, that's Easy Speak. But if you want but it's Easy Speak, you can't alter. It all looks the same. If you want something publicly facing that you can use for generating agendas and for your members to assign and to produce just information, that's Free Toast Host. And if you're using Google Docs and you're happy with Google Excel and that's working for you, as Dan said, you go with what you know. And I'll be quiet now.
Please don't be quiet, Salazar. I appreciate you running through each of them. The question I have, though, is it any of them able to automatically jump from that particular, process into pathways.
Dan, you might want to go back to what you said earlier, though.
Well,
Well, once you pick, if you're an assigned speaker in Free Toast Host, I won't speak to Easy Speak, and you put in, I'm doing, my path is dynamic leadership, level 1, I'm doing research and analysis, it automatically populates right there with a button that you can, the evaluator can get the evaluation form automatically. Does it post to Pathways? No.
so I'm just wondering if it's worth just having our other panelists, because I don't really have an opinion on this, but just weigh in on there is a management system for Pathways for like VPEs, and I'm just wondering how does that compare to what like Easy Speak provides?
So what
Or maybe
we do,
Solazar, anybody? Yeah.
what we do in our club is we created a Google Sheet to track each and every member's pathway project. So we have the name of the person, the pathway they are doing on, and then we put in the dates when they give that speech. That's the way we track their progress in Pathways. It's very manual. Easy Speak does it automatically, but if you are using Google Sheets, we have to do it manually.
Since
I
you
mean,
shared that Abhijit last week, it's
Yes.
already been super useful for me.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you so much.
So I have
the
something to add to this. We use Google Sheets to essentially press gang people in for the next meeting. We meet several meeting roles, as it's really hard to argue with a spreadsheet when you say, I want you as the next speaker or the next table topic speaker. And that's been really successful in getting people signed up for the next meeting, as I haven't had nearly the success with depending on people to go at Easy Speak and pick roles, or have Easy Speak randomly pick them. So
Awesome.
Google Sheets is a great press ganging tool.
Yeah, different clubs have different philosophies of how roles get assigned. Some clubs, people volunteer for roles. Other clubs, the ones I'm in, the VPE makes up the schedule, and then that's the schedule.
Okay, so go with the flow, it sounds like. Yep.
I have a question. I don't think
Please.
anyone has really addressed the issue of extracting reports from the Pathways base camp into something that the VPE can use to track what's happening with the members. Is that even possible?
Abhijit.
Yes. So one thing which I learned is when you open the Pathways, and if you are a VPE, you can just put the name of the person and then look at their progress. So that is the easiest way, but you have to go one by one.
Yeah, the base camp tools for tracking a club's progress are not very good. So as Abhijit says, you have to go in and look at individuals.
Do you want to show us how to do that, Abhijit? Is that possible, maybe?
Let me log in. Let me log
okay.
into my
I'll give you some time. I'm going to jump to Tiffany and let her ask her question. If she's still here.
She had a hard stop, so she might have just dropped.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will ask the question so our panelists can answer it, and we can then share with her this session so she can get the answer. So her question, as in the chat, she's loved the informative, super informative session. I'm glad, and lots of resources, which is fantastic. Oh, she wants us to share it. And could she share it with all members? Absolutely. Okay. So there's no actual question other than please record it. Keisha, you have a question? Or no longer do you want to ask it? Do you have another question? Nope. Okay. Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? Okay. Abhijit, are you ready?
Yes, I'm
I have a
asking.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question, Kate.
Go
Kate,
for it.
as you go up higher, say you go to level 4, level 5, and then to your DTM project, I was wondering, how do I choose for my HPL project and DTM project? Are there any resources as to what can I choose when I go up, advance my pathway?
Who wants to answer that one? Abhijit? Okay.
Yes. One thing I would encourage is when you are going into level 5 or your DTM projects, ask people who have gone through it, who have completed their DTMs. They can guide you the best. Like, for example, you can look at, like for HPL, if you're doing a level 5 HPL, and you can think about how it can help the members. Like one of the mentees, I told them, okay, you're doing an HPL. Like, we are having trouble finding the future leaders. Why don't you work on a project which can help us find our future leaders? So he started working on that HPL. So you can come up with an idea, okay, what you can do that will help the members or that can help the district, and create that project according to that plan. Solara?
Yeah, this is actually for you, Abhijit, as a follow-on. Now, I haven't gotten there, maybe Ken, but you did. My understanding, though, is the DTM project has to be something outside of Toastmasters, whereas our HBL can be anything, even within Toastmasters. So it has to be very externally facing for the new DTM project. Can you clarify if that's true or not, or if that's just a misunderstanding on my part?
When I did the DTM project, my DTM project was I was creating a video, heart-to-heart conversations, and that was my DTM project for one of my DTMs. So it depends upon you what you do it, like it's
But
a little bit
I
more.
thought it changed is what I'm saying. I heard that it
Yes.
changed. I guess you don't know that, so that was probably just a rumor. I just want to clarify.
I will have to check it and I will confirm that.
Awesome. Thank you. Abhijit, do you want to jump into this? And then we can go to Olga.
Yeah. Okay. Helen, you want to share your screen? Perfect. Now go to login as Basecamp manager.
Oh, he's
Now in that search, put you can put anyone's name and it can show you their progress. Yeah. And it will show you the same way as it shows your what we say curriculum. Click enter. Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Now click Shanti. So go down. It will show you her curriculum. What is she? Yeah, pathways and learning. Yeah. And yeah, and then open curriculum for her. So it shows that she's on level 4. You can click level 4. So you can see that, okay, she has completed managing difficult audience. Her elective is not yet done.
So one quick little tip, up where it says search,
Yeah.
Helen, type in the word club, C-L-U-B. And then click on Basecamp Manager, right? And then view team, there's a button in the upper right called view team. Click on that and you'll get to see all the people in the club.
Yeah.
That you can choose which person you want to look at. That's only, again, if they are in your home club. So if you are a VPE, you get to see the people for which you are have listed that as the home club. If somebody's a member of 2 or 3 clubs and they've chosen a different club as their home club, you won't see their record. That's one of the shortcomings of Pathways.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. That was great. Awesome. See, these little snippets of information will help us, each of us. And I know that Olga had a question and she had to leave before she got to ask the question. So I'll ask it for her. How many speeches already completed can be applied to Pathways later?
As far as I know, none.
That's what I thought too.
Can you put yours on your mute?
Yeah, Pat Johnson even confirmed that at RTLI, that she was part of the committee that did that. And they gave us a 3-year transition period, but then we're to start on the fresh educational program.
Okay, sounds good. All right, any other questions anybody has?
I
Yes,
have a
Sol-
follow.
Oh, go for it, Jamal. and then Solazar.
Oh, thank you. I have a follow-up question. So in that Basecamp manager, and when I put a person's name, say suppose that person completed a level in a different club, will that still show here? And that person is a member, is a dual member. It's just that one level got completed in another club. Will I still see that information here?
If they've chosen the other club as their home club, you will not be able to see that.
But,
Oh, so
but
we
you can
have to-
switch. You can switch easily.
Okay.
They have to switch though.
Yes.
Yes.
And once they switch, I can still see the level that they completed in the other club.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes. And to answer the question regarding the DTM project, you can do any project that benefits the organization. It doesn't say it has to be outside of Toastmasters or it has to be Toastmasters. That's what I saw it on the evaluation form.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Abhijit. Solazar, did you have anything else to ask?
I was actually going to mention, Abhijit touched on it, but Daniel had posted some clarifying links into the chat that may be good resources for later that do clarify that. So thank you both, Abhijit and Daniel.
I love this teamwork. Great job. All right, do we have any last questions? Okay, I just want to say thank you very much to each one of our panelists, even the extra. Solazar, fantastic job, mate. Appreciate you jumping on and giving us a hand, because together we grow, together we thrive. And I really appreciate everyone jumping on, and I will provide this Zoom meeting link and recording of this Zoom meeting with everybody who has come, and we can maybe put it up somewhere as well. We can talk. Yep.
And put all the links in the description.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
And is this something that we would share with our club officers in our area or how would we, any suggestions for that? I guess Salazar, you would know. I was going to say
I'd do that.
Yeah, I usually charge a fee and no, actually, I think you should share with everybody, certainly your club officers and anyone else. Yeah. I agree with Kate. Yeah.
As many as you can is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so share it with every member that you know of in every club that you're part of or an area or whatever. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
All right.
If they have questions about pathways, absolutely. I mean, and if you've got more questions, please send them through. I think this is how we continue to build on who we are and grow Toastmasters.
Yes, this was super helpful. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It was great.
Awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. Well, guess what? I'm going to give you 5 minutes back of your life.